I was an only child. I grew up around adults. And from about 6 years old on, I was, shoving my way into everybody's kitchen, driving everybody nuts. So by the time I was 19, I actually became the sushi chef for the Ronald Reagan Library. I worked at Granita in Malibu with Puck and got to have great experiences. And that was right before I ended up taking the position with the Ronald Reagan Library. But then I had my daughter, and I was 21 years old, and the 16, 18-hour days didn't work anymore. With that, I went into real estate and I did that for over 20 years. And that's where these accidents began. The first accident I had was in 2000 and I was showing property. I had just pulled over, turned off the ignition, but looked up in my rearview mirror and I'm watching an F-150 and I was in a Dodge Durango. And so I look up and I, got my neck cocked up and I see the driver with a baseball hat, but his head is down
Ooh.
and it never came back up. And I'm watching him slide all the way from the left lane through 4 lanes to the curb. And of course, I braced for impact. He slammed that whole third seat, passenger back seat, all into the 2 front seats. It was horrendous. But to make it worse, since we were at the curb, he flipped his vehicle, slammed back into my vehicle again. From there, that's when I suffered the beginnings of the neck and back problems. I went through workers' comp and the whole 9 yards. I had a partial tear in the rotator cuff, low back and neck injuries, and then the barrette that had ended up being embedded in the back of my head had to be removed. Once I retired from real estate, girlfriend of mine had referred me to a company called IMAX Exchange, and they hired me as a sales executive. They called a meeting for me to come down into LA to meet with the owner and president and so forth. And so on my way there, unfortunately, I ended up in a 5-car pileup. And that then clenched the neck and back injuries. I had to be extricated from the car. The airbag didn't just deploy, but it completely exploded, and my windows and everything were up. Having childhood asthma, already had lung issues to begin with. I grew out of them for the most part, but that brought it all right back. Breathing in all those toxins closed into my car until they could actually extricate me from the car. So I ended up with a lot of medical issues after that. The ones that were never addressed, of course, were the exploding airbag. That was a very huge missed situation that I suffer from now. But as far as what transpired is when I asked them for the workers' comp paperwork for the accident, they immediately fired me, threatened me with their attorneys that if I contacted anybody, any employees of the company, their attorney was going to come after me and all this mess. I'm dealing with the third time with my hands. At Thatcher School, that was the last employer as a chef. Unfortunately, this last one with the hands and the shoulders, I'm down to 20% hand strength. My hands have not been treated for 3 years, though I've undergone 6 procedures on my hands, and they're still battling that out right now. I've gone through massive difficulties when trying to get me disability, the normal channels, STI and SSDI, all of them being denied repeatedly. And since going through the process with Penn, it's been a phenomenal blessing in my life under the circumstances, especially with now dealing with this situation of my hands and the refusal of treatment. Oh, it started out around, I think $330 every 2 weeks is how it started. And it helped to be able to pay rent. I used to receive CalFresh, almost $300 a month for that. They've cut me off from that now because they apparently use both my workers' comp payment and my SIBTF payments to calculate that I don't qualify anymore. So now I receive $24. And with the cost of groceries today, just pure insanity. The world is going through right now is just pure insanity. And the fact that it seems we've got a billionaire class that's just constantly putting the thumb down in every way possible and taking away everything possible for those of us who need it most to survive. And I'm not talking about living. I'm just talking about surviving, paying for the essentials. I've got $250 in my savings. That's it. That's the reality of life today. It makes all the difference in the world to be able to receive the benefits of these subsequent injuries benefits trust fund. There's just no question. Don't know where my mom and I would be if I wasn't receiving that right now. I mean, right now we're looking at eviction nonetheless because of those errors that happened with the Department of Industrial Relations not handling things appropriately. Our state is incapable by choice, and they constantly make errors because of it, using antiquated systems. There's too many human errors because of antiquated systems they utilize. And that is now costing us. And of course, no recourse. They could care less at the DIR in regards to what they cause people. I've had a QME tell me, had you been treated when you should have been treated, you would have had 90% recovery and you'd be back to work and you'd have your career.